with the Russia-Ukraine conflict, and several people were injured and buildings damaged following Ukraine's overnight drone attack on Russia's Lipetsk and Voronezh regions. Russian air defences intercepted 12 drones over Voronezh, but debris caused minor injuries and damage to apartments and commercial facilities. One person was injured in Lipetsk after a drone crashed in an industrial zone. The Russian Defence Ministry reported destroying 55 Ukrainian drones over multiple regions. Ukraine has not commented on the attacks, which targeted Lipetsk, a key area for Russia's aerospace forces. Meanwhile, US President Donald Trump announced new weapons for Ukraine and set a 50-day deadline for Russia to agree a peace deal. Trump threatened secondary sanctions on countries buying Russian exports if Moscow does not comply. His pledge includes sending Patriot air defence missiles to Ukraine. Zelensky thanked the US for support, but some in Kyiv remain cautious about Trump's long-term commitment. The threat of sanctions, including 100% tariffs on Russian goods, signals a shift in US policy as lawmakers push for secondary sanctions on Russian trade partners. Trump criticised Putin for continuing attacks while negotiations stalled. The situation remains tense, with Russia showing no sign of abandoning its goals. Well, joining us once again to discuss this, we do welcome back Craig Hodges. Thank you for staying with us, Craig. Of course, we've touched on this briefly, but there has been a shift from Donald Trump. He clearly has stated that he is going to back Ukraine now. Let's look at this from a wider perspective. What does this mean for Western allies of Ukraine and allies of Ukraine in general, given the fears that there have been over this Russian advancement?
Western allies have really rushed to support NATO. We can see the shift in recent months with Canada's defence posture, its acquisitions of military material. Australia too has been unwavering in its support of Ukraine and cooperating with NATO initiatives. It feels like America's coming back at a very late stage to this defence support for the Ukraine. Once again, I think that this is a positive move. Is tariffs alone going to convince Russia to back down? I don't know. I don't think it's going to play out that simply, to be frank.
And what's Australia's view, Craig, on this situation? We know, of course, they are part of the group of nations supporting Ukraine, but where would Australia position themselves in these discussions and in pushing for support and an end to this conflict?
Well, I think the common interests in democratic countries defending democratic nations, free nations. So there's a principled approach. There's also the approach of supplying weapons, technology, supporting their allies in a time of need. Because Australia itself is a vulnerable nation, we would want our allies to reciprocate when Australia may face similar threats. So, look, we have a long history, over a century history of supporting allies on the European mainland. So Australia's defence forces are open to cooperation, always have been, have trained together, and we know even in our neighbourhood with the military exercise that European participants continue to show an interest in our region, and conversely we show an interest in their security region as well. So it's an ongoing relationship.
Absolutely, and that ongoing dialogue will continue, of course, as a push towards a ceasefire, a 50-day deadline set by Donald Trump before these sanctions on Russia will take hold. Craig, once again, thank you ever so much for adding your insights and that information there on the ongoing Russia-Ukraine conflict here on NewsX World. We will, of course, continue to bring you all of those updates. But we move on now, and the US has introduced